In this video, we're going to be uncovering some serious allegations that just came from the Silver Academy against the Silver Institute. This is a week after they finally squashed the beef, or so we thought. See, the Silver Academy has been pressing the Silver Institute's morals over the past several months, and now they posted an article titled Silver Institute, Misinformation Minefield or Misguided Mission. The silver rabbit hole is truly fascinating, and this is a much bigger problem beyond just these allegations. Miners purposely lying about numbers, the silver shortage, supply deficit, numbers not being added in or incorporated, or numbers being revised, and then you can go into the COMEX corruption, or even beyond that, you could look at price manipulation, JP Morgan getting caught for manipulating silver's price for decades, people getting sent to prison, and those are just a few things to name. See, I spend a lot of time dissecting, diving into the nooks and crannies, trying to figure out or get a better idea of what's really going on behind the scenes. And this article is just another one of those situations being exposed. Things keep getting worse for the embattled Silver Institute. If we asked 100 people at a shopping mall to examine two pieces of evidence, 99 of 100 would say, this is now a pattern. The Silver Academy was formed only 4 months ago when some Reddit SDC and Wall Street Silver members started noticing troubling and deceptive data from the Silver Institute's World Silver Survey. On October 12th, we published this bombshell report, which I will briefly share this report, but there's a lot of context I need to fill in before we dive into this because this is extremely important and there is some serious stuff going on behind the scenes, and I'll try to fill in the gaps to the best of my ability. It was this shot, pun intended, that caught the attention of over 1 million people, including social sharing, and yes, myself included, I showed this article, this report. We showed the years the U.S. Department of Defense stopped reporting and how this lined up coincidentally with the U.S. Bureau of Mines being shuttered around 1996. And then the icing on the cake. The U.S. Department of Energy published a critical materials list that omits silver, saying silver isn't a critical material. Even though we need silver to go green, we don't have enough silver to go green. The same Department of Defense, the military, raided our silver stockpiles. They raided the United States silver reserves for military, since silver is used so heavily in military, and the Silver Academy published that and publicly mentioned that as well, exposing that beyond just the Silver Institute. But you see how they also stopped reporting. And it's not just stopped reporting. They're also taking the same silver they are saying is not a critical material. What's going on here? I haven't heard of 30, 40 of those, but the one that's most important, silver, wasn't included in that list. Why? And it wasn't just the United States. Canada did the same thing a couple months ago as well, not including silver. But why? Introducing the Silver Academy. New reports validating that silver is on the brink of extinction. This is the article that they are referring to, Silver is on the Brink of Extinction, written by John Forrest Little, the same author that exposed the military raiding our silver reserves, but saying, according to 5 U.S. government agencies, silver and gold aren't critical minerals. And this article is very important, and it really showcases how much silver is needed in military, why the Defense Department would be raiding our stockpiles, and might give some backstory in why they stopped reporting, or even why everyone's pretending like silver isn't so important, because they don't want anyone to know. Check this out. Uses of silver in bombs, nukes, nuclear positioned submarines, shells, missiles, bullets, torpedoes, conventional submarines, rockets, satellites, and dozens of other military applications. None of those are reported in the annual silver demand. So when you hear 1.2 billion ounces, that's not including all the silver used for these. And when that Tomahawk missile that has 500 ounces of silver in it gets dropped on the ground, obliterated, that silver's gone. But it shows the final critical minerals list. All of these things, I haven't even heard of a lot of these, but silver's not on here. Why? Silver wasn't on here in 2022 either. 50 different minerals. Canada did the same thing. Silver wasn't on there. But why? What is the first thing every silver investor learns after learning about how fiat money printing destroys almost every civilization via inflation? Correct. How necessary is silver used in industrial sectors, including energy systems? Duh. Show me the silver vanished without a trace, nowhere to be found. Now they go into all these other things. They show these minerals. They talk about how much silver will be left for you if you're born in 2010. Silver is the first to go. I mean, this stuff is provable. We're not just making these numbers up, unlike they're saying the Silver Institute does. So that's a little bit of backstory. Now let's keep moving on with this article about the Silver Institute's allegations against them. The DOE has determined the final critical materials list to include the following: aluminum, cobalt, copper. I'm not even going to read all of these, but it just shows that silver's not on here. I had to read this dozens of times, and thank God it was alphabetized. Silver would fall in between samarium and scandium. Gold isn't on the list either. I see a pattern here. And there's an actual web link to all the critical materials. So let's get to the two pieces of evidence whereby 99 out of 100 villagers would agree show that there's big trouble with the small thinking Silver Institute. 1. Based on these 3 previous reports by the Silver Academy, which no one has disputed to date, then they show these 3 not on U.S. critical minerals list. Number 2, why wouldn't the Silver Institute provide leadership when time is of the essence? They had a chance to consult with some great silver miners, but they sent the letter to the wrong country, wrong department, and wrong contact person. Sending an open letter to Canada is about as effective as sending it to a dignitary in New Guinea. It is the U.S. Department of Energy and U.S. Department of Defense that matters. And then the Canada is also mentioning the minerals list, which I mentioned earlier, that Canada also didn't. In all my years of consuming and writing investigative news, media, criticism, and following this story, I don't think I've ever seen anything more weak or misguided, as you will see below. This is an open letter which is addressed to the wrong country, incorrect agencies, and not even to the right person. This exposes a concerning lack of due diligence by the Silver Institute and undermines the legitimacy of their open letter. I want to emphasize that the CEOs who signed the letter did a great job, and it's a start in the right direction. We also know that our reporting on silver as a critical mineral is what is nudging people in the right direction. But the Silver Institute failed again by missing wrong country, wrong department, and wrong cabinet member. 3 big strikes. Please don't take my word for it. Read the letter by clicking here. See, it's addressed to someone in Canada instead of Department of Energy that publishes critical minerals list located in Washington, D.C. Ironically, the Silver Institute are headquartered in Washington, D.C., located at 14, So instead of an email to the wrong person, Jonathan Wilkins, in the wrong country and incorrect cabinet department, they should have walked right over to and hand delivered it to the person, saying, because they are also in Washington, D.C. And then this is signed by Keith Neumeyer, which is very interesting because I really like Keith Neumeyer's. I really like him. He gets it more than most when in terms of the silver shortage. But then you see Phillips Baker, he's the CEO of Hecla Mining. He's the one that I don't agree with. So it's interesting they both signed these. Keith Neumeyer, he is the CEO of First Majestic Silver, right? They mine silver, about 10 million ounces annually, if I'm not mistaken, when he was mentioning this in his Kitco interview with Michelle McCory a couple months ago. But also, Phillips Baker, he says there's plenty of silver, even though right after he said that, he said another 5 minutes of contradicting information and evidence showing we don't have enough. And then Keith Neumeyer actually, ironically, I think the day before, got interviewed by Michelle McCory and showed all the information showing that we don't have enough silver. The Silver Academy, I don't agree with how they handle some things. They definitely aren't afraid to hold back words, but I get it if you're that frustrated. I don't know if it's frustration or just trying to expose themselves, but rightfully so, because they post some good stuff. Look at these other articles they posted recently. Silver shortage confirmed, Mexico's silver supply has dropped off a cliff. Then they posted this one, U.S. silver stockpile rated by Defense Department. Future energy needs depend on U.S. silver development. Another one, military heist foiled. Authorities recover stolen silver and arrest suspects. And that's just three. I mean, they talk about this. This is another one they mentioned. All the metal missing in Silver Institute's so-called World Silver Survey. That was the other article I talked about, how they called them out, saying that they're not adding all this silver in. And then the silver scheme exposed, revealing decades of deception. That was the other one towards the Silver Institute. And then you have the one that I covered. I mean, they do publish some very compelling evidence, and they do show dates. Like they mentioned, nobody's saying they're lying or nobody's saying they're wrong. I just wish they handled it a little more maturely. I was really happy when they did come to terms last week, but that was very short-lived. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. You guys can Google this stuff. Just type in Silver Academy if you guys want to check it out. Very interesting stuff. A lot of this data is very, very compelling, especially since I'm also someone who is an advocate of the silver shortage and how important it is, how serious this could be, especially since we're trying to go green for climate change and global warming, and even more importantly, in my opinion, how we need silver for war. And if there's already a shortage and silver's used in bullets, I mean, look at this. Turn your silver into bullets. If silver is used for missiles and all of these other things, but we don't have enough silver for these missiles and all of these other things, then what does that mean? I hope they find enough silver to make these, to make all of this stuff for warfare. I mean, yeah, you could see why the military or the Defense Department would raid our silver stockpiles. It makes sense. You know, that you guys can check all of this out. I'm not going to keep going on. I just wanted to share this article that just came out about the Silver Institute misinformation minefield or misguided mission. Which one do you think it is? Do you think this is purposely misguided, or do you think there's just a little bit of ignorance here? Or not even just ignorance, maybe just laziness, lack of, I highly doubt that, but who knows? So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Let me know what you think about this. Also, make sure you guys subscribe. I'll be posting another video later on today, so make sure you guys tune in for that as well. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys later today. Peace.